Hi, my name is Jim and I work with Model Railroad Tunnels. I'm here today to show you a little bit about our products and then to demonstrate how you can use one of our rock formations to customize it to make your own tunnel to fit your particular situation. If you hopefully have been to our website, www.modelrailroadtunnels.com, you see that we carry a variety of products. We have rock formations from the large, such as this, our large gray rock formation, in all different sizes and shapes and forms, all the way down to the smallest. We have the rock tumble and the rock mound. So we have a rock basically for any situation. They work with all scales, and I'm sure you'll be quite pleased with them. They work in a variety of situations. We also have our two newest products, the tunnels. This is the HO tunnel. You can see it's also very realistic. It's a straight tunnel. And we also have, in the smaller size, we have the N-scale tunnel, also a straight tunnel. Also, you can see, very realistic looking with the rocks and all. We get quite a few compliments about them at all the shows. So go ahead and walk on over to the website now or after we get done with this video and check out the products. So, as I said, today we're going to be demonstrating how to modify one of our rock formations for use with an HO diorama. This is the large gray rock formation. You can see it's quite big, but when in relation to HO, a car, here as I show you, it's not quite tall enough probably. The main reason, even though it looks maybe it is from the outside, is because on the inside, due to the manufacturing process, the plastic falls down a bit. And so when you cut through a tunnel for this, about that height, you may actually be cutting through to the outside. And it wouldn't look very good. And even if it fits, it would be right near the top and wouldn't look very realistic. So for this video today, we're going to demonstrate how to modify it so that it'll work, so it'll look okay. However, for the smaller scales, like N scale, and for Z scale, of course, this looks quite good, and you could cut a tunnel portal and it would look very realistic without any other modification required. And we'll cover cutting it in the next portion of the video clip. So, as I said, let's go ahead and start working on modifying this rock formation. As you can see here, I have a small diorama I've started working on. It's got some track I laid already, and I started ballasting. But as you can see, it has a curve here, and that curve, even though it's not all that sharp a degree, won't fit for our straight tunnel, so we're going to have to modify one of our rocks to fit. I've used foam insulation board here. It's available all over the country now, even here in the Central Valley, California Central Valley, though it's only available in 1-inch thicknesses. You can buy it most places, though, in even larger thicknesses, like 2 and 3 inches, depending on where you live. At any rate, it's a very handy thing to use. You can go on the internet. There's plenty of videos on YouTube and elsewhere that explain how to work with it, how to glue it and cut it and everything else. So I won't get into great detail there on this. As you can see, what I did was I took some foam insulation and I laid the rock formation down and I traced the outline of the rock formation on the foam, and then of course I cut that out. And then because I want a slope and I need to raise it up about 1 inch for it to look good, or excuse me, about 2 inches, I cut another piece slightly wider around and then glued the two together. Okay, and then of course we have to have our track run through it, so after I glued them together, I laid the track over here and marked the ends and the width of the track and the ballast, and then cut out a little bit extra to allow for clearance. You don't have to be real exact, but you do need to be sure that your equipment is not going to hit the sides as it goes through the curve. Okay, and then obviously glued those down and let everything set overnight. So now we're ready to start marking the rock formation for the tunnel portal. Okay, so we'll do that next. Okay, so in getting ready to cut the tunnel portal, you need a way to mark the tunnel, of course. Now you could just set the rock formation down and put a car up next to it and sort of eyeball it and freehand a tunnel portal. And if that's easiest for you, then go ahead. Me, I'm a little more exact. I like to have an outline so that it looks closer to the actual shape of a tunnel portal. So I made this template out of just a scrap piece of plastic. I think this is 0.04 inch, but it doesn't really matter. It's thick enough, sturdy enough to mark. I'll take that and a marker to mark it. But before I get too far into that, I want to cover how I made the template. Okay, I want to recommend going to the website, to the National Model Railroad Association, NMRA, their website, nmra.org. If you go there and you look in the left-hand column, you'll see one entry for standards. The NMRA has been active since the very beginning, for years now, in developing standards that are used throughout the model railroad industry, and that is what allows us to buy models from different manufacturers that will always work together. It's a great organization. I highly recommend checking out their website and possibly joining them and giving them support. And in the meantime, if you go to your website, you can find the standards page, and then from there you can find this standard, which is S7 for clearances. This is what I used as reference for developing the template. You can see that it has designs or information for 3 different styles. This is old time, this is classic, and this is modern era. You can see how the trains got bigger and the clearances were bigger as time moved on. And then associated with each one of these diagrams here is a table listing all the appropriate sizes, the different dimensions based on the scale. And it has every scale from large scale on down to N scale. Oh, and just for reference, it has 1-to-1 prototype at the very bottom. So it's a very handy reference for designing your template. Okay, so nmra.org. Check that out. Okay, here you can see I've got the camera zoomed in. I'm going to show you, and you notice that I cut out a portion of the template so that it would fit over the track, more or less, and lay flat on the base. So obviously I'm not going to be able to put this flat completely up against the rock formation. It has a lot of rock sticking out, of course, so it's not flat, but you want to put the template up as close as you can and then just sort of carefully trace around so that you follow the pattern, trying to keep the marker as close as possible to straight. You may have to obviously move in a little bit, but you're going to go around and you're going to follow that template around and just mark where you're going to cut. So I don't know if you can see that or not. You can see that there's a dark line there. You don't need to necessarily outline the whole thing completely. Just have an idea, because this is going to show you where you're going to cut to get the tunnel portal looking to where it'll fit. Okay? Here I have moved the rock formation in a little closer so you can see the outline of the template that I've drawn on the rocks. So this is what we're going to follow when we cut it here very shortly. Okay, so I will, now having marked the front here, I will just go ahead and use the template to mark the back where the track comes out, the back of the mountain, and then we'll be ready to cut it. And for cutting it, we use a Dremel tool with a cutting wheel, but because it's made out of a resin plastic, that obviously is going to throw out a whole lot of dust. So to do the cutting, I always go outside. There's nowhere else, considering how much dust it makes. So we'll see you in the next clip outside in my backyard.